The PS5 Pro is currently in development and is launching sooner than you think. Resident Evil 4 Remake Demo gets incredible reception, and Destiny 2's new raid sparks the difficulty debate once again. All this and more on this week's episode of Checkpoint.
Welcome back to Checkpoint, brought to you by Strictly Casual, your number one show bringing you the important news and breaking down the biggest stories in the gaming industry. I'm one of your hosts, Vincent DeSantis, joined today by new Mike, James Walmer. James, how you doing, dude?
Yes, sir. Doing great.
This is the debut.
Feeling good, sounding good, baby.
The debut podcast with the new mic.
Yeah, debut podcast with the new mic. Feels good to be here.
We've upgraded from the Blue Yeti to the, what is this?
Blue Sona.
Which is USB to XLR. God bless.
Straight XLR.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying the original was USB. Yeah.
Amazing. So you'll have to let us know how it sounds in the comments. But audio listeners, thank you so much. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/strictlycasual. Please hit us with a rating on audio platforms and sub. Helps us out a lot. Stuff that's going on the channel is Last of Us is over. Mandalorian has started. We're going to do a season wrap up of Last of Us that we have not done yet. That's still on the plan as extra content. Yeah, it's done. I've finished it.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Good ending? I mean, good, in respect to the show? Or in the respect to the game?
I was watching it with someone who had never watched it before. And during the final scene, if you have not seen the show, I'm sorry if the game's been out, skip the 15 seconds if you don't want to hear the end. But just when Joel goes on his hospital rampage, Justin looked over at me and he was like, I don't know if I feel good about this. And I was like, perfect. That's it. Okay. It worked.
Good. That's exactly what you need.
Yeah. So
it worked.
It worked. Yeah. It was successful.
It did the thing.
Yeah. It was good. I did feel like the last episode was a little rushed. And I feel like the series as a whole was a tiny bit disjointed, whereas in the game, it kind of flows into each big part.
It takes its time.
Instead of just having a big chunk and then it skips to the next week, which is the next main event, and then the next main event, and it feels a little, I don't know, little disjointed as a whole, but not bad. Really good. I would say really, really good overall.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's jump into the first topic of the day. James, why don't you take this one?
I could talk about this because I played this.
Good. Thank God.
I did play it. The Resident Evil 4 Remake Chainsaw demo has sent my hype into hyperdrive. This comes from Games Radar. This is also true for myself. This was the headline from Games Radar, but it's also my headline. If the Resident Evil 4 Chainsaw demo is truly representative of the remake's overall quality, then we are in for one hell of a good time on March 24th. If you have 30 minutes and 10 gigabytes of hard drive space to spare, you'll find an experience that works hard to subtly subvert expectations and ratchet up the tension beyond anything Resident Evil 4 was capable of in 2005. Capcom has a history with using playable demos to send the public into overdrive ahead of new Resident Evil games. Although they are typically timed affairs, we are allotted a small window into a created world, and then the curtains are drawn before we're able to get a real sense of its scale. Wisely, Capcom has opted to let us run freely through the Resident Evil 4 Remake demo. There's even an exclusive difficulty setting which triggers at random with Mad Chainsaw mode, stripping you of checkpoints and upping the crazed behavior of Dr. Salvador to a feverish degree. I'm surprised by just how many surprises Capcom was able to pack into such a small section of play. What can you learn from a 20-minute slice of a 20-hour game? Quite a bit, it turns out. It's clear that Capcom has learned some important lessons from Resident Evil 2, licked its wounds from Resident Evil 3, and set out to remake Resident Evil 4 with the best of intentions. Not only attempting to modernize the game for an audience who never knew the joy of owning a GameCube, but re-engineer the package in such a way that it all feels revolutionary again. Whether the full game can live up to that potential remains to be seen, but thankfully, we don't have to wait long to find out. And, Vincent, did you ever get your chance to get your hands on this?
I did not.
Well, I did. And let me tell you, it's gorgeous. The game systems feel updated. A lot of the UI stuff is carried over from Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 7, if you're familiar. A lot of the same crossbar sort of UI for weapons. Okay. I love they kept the inventory, so it's that classic briefcase inventory
fit
where
it all in,
touching around things. Yeah, fit it all in. There's a really the combat mechanics are really cool. So you have a knife that has durability, and you have your gun, and you use the gun mainly to stun enemies, and then there's a prompt where you can melee them and you do a roundhouse kick.
That's
And you
awesome.
roundhouse kick them and it like knocks over other zombies. But dude, it's hard.
Yeah.
I tried to play it. I couldn't get through it. There's just so many zombies
Yeah.
and you really have to kind of like do some Black Ops style training
Sure.
to try and get stuff because the way the like the big encounter with the chainsaw man is set up
Mm-hmm.
is it's in this like square, this town square with
Yeah.
a fire in the middle, and there's all these buildings that have stuff in them. Like it has ammo, it has like
Sure.
herbs to make health, it has like a grenade in one of them, and so you're trying to like move around. You start like in a stealth section, and there is a stealth takedown.
Okay.
There is a stealth like knife
Yeah.
move you can do, but you're going around, but like eventually like all the zombies are just on you and they take
Okay.
like a while to kill. They do not go down
Yeah.
easy.
No.
And so you really like it is that like I'm going into this building, I see something, I turn around, there's like 12 zombies
Oh,
coming into
God.
this room, and then I'm fucked. You're just
Yeah.
fucked. Like at that point, there's no
no
way
way.
unless you roundhouse them and you're able to like walk over the bodies, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's tough. It's so tough.
I did see a
But
video
it's so cool.
of I don't know who's the main character in this one. It's
Leon.
Leon. Okay.
Leon, not Bridges, because that's the artist.
Yeah. Leon shoots this like zombie in the leg and it like crumples a little bit and then goes up behind her, grabs her, and then like throws her behind him and crushes her head. It was awesome. It was like a cool
Oh
little
my
thing I saw
god,
on
I need
Twitter.
to do that.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of variation in the demo, even in this 20-minute slice, which is really, really cool. I've heard people replaying it over and over again, just to get the most out of it.
Yeah, it's very replayable. Like it's the beginning section, not so much, but once you get to that square, you can really fuck around and do a lot.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to download the demo and try it. I think the last Resident Evil remake demo that I played was RE2, I believe, and that was timed. But I really liked that.
I
They had a
remember that.
puzzle going on, like this puzzle that was pretty hard to figure out, but it was fun to, I don't know, try it. I've never played the Resident Evil games, so these are all new to me. I've only played 7 and only half of it. So
I highly recommend the original. They have the little remake.
yeah.
They came out for PlayStation 4. It was on PlayStation Plus. So you might have it in your library,
Okay.
but I would totally recommend that because it's not like super modernized.
Yeah.
It's just mainly graphical and like controls.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the classic like the fixed camera angle, the going into rooms, and it's like the animation where it just shows it's a black screen
Yeah.
with the door,
Sure.
and the door opens and you don't know what's like gonna be on the other side until you finish that animation. And it kind of jump scares you. It's great.
Right. Yeah. I've seen so much good stuff about this. Any other things you want to pick out from the demo that are worth mentioning? Do you recommend the demo?
I do recommend the demo. It's only like 13 gigabytes.
Yeah.
So go download it. It's like, and it's not even 30 minutes if you can actually finish it.
Yeah.
I couldn't finish it, but maybe you can.
I gotta play it.
Yeah.
I will download it. All right. Moving
That's all I
on
got.
to. Do we want to get into the big topic, or are we skipping this and coming back to it?
No, let's get right into it.
Well, then let's get right into it. Okay. Timestamp check. The PS5 Pro is in development and has a release window. This comes from Forbes, our main man, Paul Tassi. James, what do we have here?
A new report from Tom Henderson at Inside Gaming says that Sony is indeed doing a mid-generation PlayStation upgrade, the PlayStation 5 Pro, which is currently in development. The report says that first Sony will release a PS5 with a detachable disc drive later this year to cut down on current PS5 costs. And the PS5 Pro is actually a separate unit that may be instead out by late 2024. Further information suggests that Sony has no plans for a PlayStation 6 before 2028. Okay, so this is how the timing lines up.
Yeah.
You got the PS4 release date in November 13th, 2013. You have the PlayStation 4 Pro release date, which was 3 years later, November 16th, 2016.
Yeah.
The PS5 release date is November 12th, 2020, which would place 2023 as the third 3-year gap. But so this is what Paul Tassi goes on to say. He says, if anything, a holiday 2024 release date would be a year later than the Pro upgrade to the PS4 generation. Though that makes some sense, some amount of sense given the massive supply shortages the PS5 underwent during its first two years at launch. which are only just now starting to subside. A 2028 PS6 would also be one more year past the PS4 generation length. But again, due to the supply delays, that lines up pretty well. You just essentially like knock a year off for
Right.
that supply chain,
Yeah.
or like add a year rather.
Those are big
for
problems
that
to
supply
overcome.
chain issue, and then you're back on track, baby.
But James, I got the real question for you: is do we need a mid-cycle refresh? What could they possibly offer in a PS5 Pro that would make you think, I kind of want to upgrade? Like, what would do that for you? What's a selling feature of it?
It would have to have, I think, something more substantial than just a technical
Okay,
refresh. I feel like we're starting to plateau
totally.
technically, unless we finally hit that 4K 60 consistent. If it can do 4K 60, then that
Sure.
would be it for me.
But
But otherwise, I don't understand what else it would be, to be
we're
honest.
living in a world where developers still have to throttle their games for consoles that are on this generation. Like, right, the Series S, we talk about it all the time. The Series S is like developers have to release a lower version. We're still releasing things for PS4, you know? What besides like a PlayStation exclusive to take advantage of the PS5 Pro, like I don't know what this could be, what this could do. We're not bringing games in
Do you
6K, that's for sure.
do you think a Pro model would somehow lead to a lowering of the price for PlayStation 5, or somehow making the PlayStation 5 more accessible?
I don't think so. I think that's why they're doing the
I don't
disc
think so
the
either.
disc drive. That's why it's like, oh, $400, you can still get the PS5, the discless version, but for an extra $50, you can buy a disc drive from Sony or something like that.
Mhm.
Which is fine. I think that's a great option. By the way, I think that's great. But I just I don't quite know. Like, how would they market this? Oh, it comes with a terabyte of storage instead of 600 or something like that, right? Great.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good option. Or maybe yeah.
But storage isn't going to do it for me. I can upgrade to a terabyte for less than it's going to cost me to upgrade for a PS5 Pro. I could upgrade to
I think it
4
has to be
terabytes.
size.
Okay,
They have
sure.
to slim it down.
They slim it, but are we going to get a slim version too? Are we going to get.
No, I think the Pro would be the slim version,
Okay.
unless they just release them side by side.
That's what they did for the PS4 mid cycles. They did the slim and the Pro at the same time.
But I think the Pro will still even be smaller than the current PS5.
Yeah, I think you're right too. I think it'll
Because
have.
they did that for the PS4 Pro too. The PS4 Pro was smaller than the PlayStation 4. I think it was like shorter, but it was a little fatter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm most
think
excited to
that's
see
the
the
one.
design of this thing. I literally don't know if there's
Mhm.
like any feature that is realistic that could come with this that would make me be like, damn, this is it. Unless they say, oh, the disc drive of the PS5 Pro, you're able to put in backwards compatible games to it or something like that.
Oh shit.
But they already said that it's able to be done on current PS5. It's a software thing, not a hardware thing, which is ridiculous, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird news. I'm kind of excited to see what this is going to be, but I don't think we need it unless they give me a good
Yeah.
reason to think that we do. Yeah. What's a price point
Yeah,
that would make sense
I really
for
don't
you?
know what it'd be. Give me. I don't know.
I mean, is it going to be more than $500?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking myself. Because
I mean, VR2.
if it's
yeah,
$500, what's the point about getting a normal PS5 with a disc drive?
none.
Unless their goal is to phase out the PlayStation 5 with the disc drive and lean consumer, they could try and widen the gap and say, okay, we want you to either buy the Pro with the disc drive
Mhm.
or buy the PlayStation 5 discless
With,
and then buy a disc drive after that.
I honestly think that's what they'll do. That seems like it would make
Well,
sense.
here's the thing. Do
for
you think the
marketing.
PS5 Pro will have a disc drive?
I think PS5 Pro. Oh, well, can you imagine it launches the same price as the PS5, but it doesn't have a disc drive?
As a PS5 without the disc drive. And then if you really want the disc drive, you can buy that on top of it to bring the price up to like 550, 600 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they're going to charge for that disc drive.
It better be cheap. It better be $50.
Because the Blu-ray, if you buy a Blu-ray player, it's about the same. It's like $100.
Yeah.
Which is that's the thing, is the disc drive is supposed to be worth the $100 difference between the PlayStation 5 digital and the PS5.
And
disc.
these discs are 4K Blu-rays and stuff now too.
Right.
You know, so it's gonna be a
They're
4K
nice.
player. It has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be very interesting to see. I don't.
Mhm.
I want more details because it doesn't really make too much sense to me. Besides, they always do this in the mid-cycle refresh. Like that's it. That's the only thing that is like clicking for me about this. Even the
Mhm.
PS5 box shows that like 8K sticker. It has that like gold 8K thing on there. It's like there's no way
Yeah.
games are playing in 8K. Like what are you talking about? What do
No.
you mean? So very, very interesting. If you want to know all the details about the PS5 Pro, you can stay right here at Strictly Casual. You can find us on audio platforms. If you type in Strictly Casual Checkpoint, it's a little blue box that says Checkpoint. This is episode 153. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
James,
Good chat. Good chat.
I want to take you into the next one. I want to kind
Take
of
me
wet
into
your
the next.
toes
Take me on a ride, Vincent.
because I think this is an interesting conversation that comes up in I think there's relatable conversations to Souls games and other difficulty based, not difficulty
Oh,
based, but
okay.
where difficulty is core part of the game and not an accessibility thing. It's not that it's difficult to not be
Okay.
accessible. It's difficult because that's part of the design. Okay. So here we go.
Okay.
Here's the headline. 7 times more players than normal cleared Destiny 2's new raid. This is the first weekend, by the way. 7 times more than normal. If you don't know, Destiny 2, obviously, live service MMORPG game, blah, blah, blah. Every expansion, well, actually, they do like 2 a year now. They release a raid, which is supposed to be the most end game content, the hardest content. You work very hard to get there, and the rewards are the best. Extra mod slots in your armor, like your guns have extra perks that are, gonna not give you an advantage, but you want to get them. It's where you're going.
They do give you an advantage, to be honest.
What do you mean? In the sense
Like the
of
raid gear is the best gear.
it is usually the best gear. Yeah,
It is the best gear.
highly sought after.
Which I sort of take beef with because it's like we want players to like have, be able to get the best gear no
Yeah.
matter how they play. When in reality, like the best gear is through the raid. Like you have
Mhm.
to do the raid to get the best gear.
Right.
'Cause you're not going to get that kind of gear through Crucible unless you
No.
maybe do trials. Like I
Yeah,
don't know
Trials
the
has
trials.
really good gear, but
Yeah.
that's technically
Okay.
end game gear as well.
Right. So I'm just saying like you have two end game paths at least. You
Yeah.
can have your PvP and your PvE
Yes.
end game paths to the best gear.
Right.
Quote unquote.
So this comes from Paul Tassi again. God, love it. Love a good Paul Tassi episode. But Destiny 2 just debuted its Root of Nightmares raid this weekend, opening a contest mode version that kept players 20 levels under power for the first 48 hours, extending the day 1 clear potential to 2 days. Bungie said this was a way to protect the health of the player base, which may have worked, but it also sparked big debate in the community. Keep in mind, every time a raid goes live, the first day, it always launches on a Friday. If you can beat it within that 24 hours, it's an emblem that you can get. Then it's like big praise your way. Like it is very difficult. Looking at some of the numbers, like the first raid only had 700 teams to clear it in the first day. There's a
Wow.
raid that launched, The Last Wish, which only had 2 teams clear on the first day, which is, those are low numbers. I would say the average is about probably 1,000. We have Spire of Stars at 19, but most of them are like Scourge of the Past was 1,000. Deepstone Crypt was 5,000. But there's variations as they're trying to tune how difficult versus getting new players in, sort of thing.
Accessible.
Yeah. But it turns out way more people cleared Root of Nightmares on contest mode than any other previous race window. The Root of Nightmares had 45,000 teams clear it in the first day.
That's huge. There's a huge difference going on here.
Gigantic difference. And people are saying, was it too easy? Is it too easy? Like, did you really have to grind all of this to get there? Is it worth doing that? But here's where it gets interesting. I guess what's strange about the situation is that it's happening in an era where Bungie has outright stated that they wanted to bring challenge back to Destiny after higher tier players have been complaining that the game is too easy. But 7 times more people completing the raid on contest mode than usual would not indicate that's what happened here. And then Paul kind of wraps this up by saying, in the end, it's hard for me to get too worked up about the difficulty of the raid race. The concepts of the race are still intact. First place is first place. That only goes to one team. Even if it's easy, you still have to figure out all the mechanics, execute faster than anyone else. Really, the only people I see avidly complaining about the number of clears are those who want their emblem to be more rare than it is. And I can't say I have a terribly large amount of sympathy for that, which is interesting as well. But 45,000 versus like 6,000 to 1,000 is really, really big. When you were playing Destiny, how were you enjoying the challenge of a later game content, or were you not even getting there because it was too challenging? Was it too hard to get people together to do it?
When I was a big Destiny head, I had the players to do
Yeah.
it and the skill level, and we had the gear to do it. Um, and I never complained about the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
I think Destiny 2 is when I really started to complain about the difficulty of getting players, and it really felt like we had to have like the top notch,
Yeah.
like everyone had to be on it. Like we couldn't have any stragglers, any people who we were trying to like pull along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everyone had to be on 10 the entire time, or else we weren't gonna finish.
Yeah.
Um, I am curious, Vincent, what the current climate is around Root of Nightmares. Like, what are people saying about? Are they saying that it's too easy, or have you played it yourself? Do you think it's too easy? What?
I have not played it yet. I
Okay,
am just under light level, but I was hoping to get into it this weekend. That's kind of like
okay.
Saturday evening. I would love to try this out,
Do
give
you
it a
know
run.
anybody who has played it?
I do not know. Well, I mean, just what I've been reading. Just what I've been reading.
Yeah,
And
what have you been reading?
the consensus is that yes, it is easy. There, it is.
Mm,
The boss has less damage. There's only two, or it takes less damage, even though it gives
uh-huh.
just as much damage as any other raid boss would.
Like it takes less damage to kill them.
Yes, like it seems like you could. The big fun thing is like, oh, can I get my team to one phase this boss? Can I kill it before it goes into its harder phases and stuff like that?
Mm,
And there are
mm-hmm.
ways to do that, and people have found those ways way easier, I think, than other raids. It took them less experimentation to realize, oh, this is what we can do to like make this as easy as possible for us, which
Okay.
is fun. That's a great challenge to overcome, and I think that's like a great part of Destiny is like, how can I make this as easy for me as
Right.
possible? Like, let's get these
Right.
materials and stuff. But it's also shorter, the raid, because the theory is that Lightfall was a throwaway DLC. It was not supposed to ever release, and that the next DLC was always planned to be the next DLC, which is called The Final Shape, and it's the story that they're building for. And so people think that a lot of this DLC was thrown together to bridge the gap between the Witch Queen and The Final Shape. And there's a lot of evidence going into that right now of armor sets in this. Seems like they should be in the Witch Queen. There's guns that were like, oh, this should be a
Mm,
strand gun, but you just put it with something else. It shoots green bullets and everything. It's like
uh-huh.
even the map is like, oh, why are we here right now? This seems like it was supposed to be a part of maybe the final shape coming later. It was what are the
Uh-huh.
things that we have done early from the final shape, and what are the things that we can't get done for the Witch Queen, and let's put that in a DLC. Obviously, they added a lot more, and it's a lot more care than I'm giving credit for. It is a solid release in my opinion, but the Root of Nightmares could be falling in that zone of maybe it was supposed to come earlier, maybe it was supposed to come later, and they cut some encounters to make it, I don't know,
Yeah, that's
easier.
really interesting, especially because I think what if Lightfall was meant to be, what if they didn't feel like their player base was strong enough
Hmm.
for it to last until the last shape. So they wanted to take everything, all the ideas around player accessibility and quality of life, because I
Sure.
know that's a big part of this
It is
DLC. Is
gigantic.
like they're cutting a lot of the grind out of it. They
Yeah.
want, it feels like they want to get as many players on as possible.
Yeah.
And maybe they wanted to give as many players as possible the experience of a raid
Mm-hmm.
in order to maintain that momentum through the final DLC. Is they
Totally.
want to bring as many people on and entice them and whet their appetite and get them hungry for something else, something new.
Yes.
They can go back and play the old stuff,
Yeah, there's plenty that are
that
still
they
tough,
missed.
dude.
Right, there's still plenty there, so then they can move that until the last shape's release. So they'll have a bigger player base and much more sales for that final DLC.
And I think I would agree with that too. It makes sense because we have the giant looking for group thing that they're adding next season, which is in the next
Right.
50 days, 40 days or something.
I feel like
Um,
they've been talking about that for like 2 years.
yeah, it does feel like a long time, but the commendation system is now there where after you play an activity, you can tag if someone's helpful or if they've guided you through something or if,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I think all that is helpful in playing into it. But I do agree that I think if you're up to this point and you are new into Destiny, you're going to want something that's a little bit more accessible and less of, I'm going to smash my head against a desk for 4 hours trying to figure out this puzzle. Even if I watch a YouTube guide, it's still not clear enough to like understand it. Like, which it's fine. It's okay. It's okay to me. It's okay to kind of onboard players with the raid and stuff and not having extremely difficult. There's going to be difficulty options in the future. We just have a normal mode and then this contest mode that drops your power level. There will be a master difficulty of this that nobody has seen yet and stuff like that. There will be more of a challenge. But I hear the raid is beautiful. The screenshots I've seen are gorgeous. Like the design of everything, the armor sets are so unique. Like so unique. I would love to hear your thoughts on them. It's kind of weird,
right now.
but I totally dig it. And I will be going for that Warlock chest piece. It has extra arms coming out of the back. It's really cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm very excited. I totally understand people that would want more of a challenge right off the get-go, especially for the day one contest mode. But yeah, that's kind of that. I love Destiny. Been loving playing it. This Lightfall thing, even though the campaign wasn't very strong story-wise, I've just really been enjoying it. Did you find the armor?
No, I'm trying to find it right now.
I could probably send you a picture. I could text you a picture right now. I think I have it on my phone. Just to get your live reaction here. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I see the Warlock is sick, but that's the only one I see.
Okay. I have a picture of all
I only see the
three
Warlock.
somewhere. Okay. I just sent it to your phone. Visual or video people, here is the thing so you can get the concept of it. That is it. You said eh?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I think it's awesome. It's so cool.
Everyone just looks like fallen dregs.
Interesting. Yeah, kind of. I think it's sick. All the capes and stuff. I've seen people use it with other armor pieces that, and then shaders and stuff too. That's just the shaders and the ornaments really bring it.
Do they ever stop? Like, do they ever fix shaders and ornaments to not be like super microtransaction-y?
Yeah. Shaders aren't micro.
Really?
You don't have to spend any currency to apply shaders now. You can apply as many to your heart's content, and they're not consumable items.
They're
anymore.
not like consumable.
No. But that's been out for like 2 years. That's been like there for a year or so. Maybe more.
God.
It's awesome. You just have a menu with all of your shaders and you can hover over them. And
that's what I wanted for so long.
And ornaments.
Do you have to spend money to get new ones?
For shaders?
Yeah.
No. You can unlock them all naturally. Of course, there's like some currency to buy them if you find them at a vendor or something like that. But once you have it,
Lightfall, I'll jump back in.
Oh my gosh. Very interesting. Very interesting. But the ornaments, there's quests that you can do that get you
nice
pieces that turn your gear into ornaments, but they're not consumable. After they're ornaments, you can apply them as many times as you want, and it's no problem. And the quests are always it's basically a bounty, and once you complete the bounty, you get one piece that you can turn an art thing into. And it's like, play a couple matches of Crucible. It's easy stuff that I always have them equipped when I play the game, and I just naturally get them. It's nothing you have to grind for. You just have to play a little bit to get it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So nice.
So it makes Destiny a lot more fun. But anyways, I'm gushing about Destiny. James, what have you been playing this week?
I'm playing a lot this week. I've been trying to so I was talking to Gabe a lot this week because he was playing Metroid Prime Remastered. He really enjoyed it. We were talking a lot about like open world design and a lot about bosses, especially because I've been thinking about like Elden Ring DLC has been unveiled for like a month or so now. And so the conversation is like, do I jump back into Elden Ring? I jumped back into Elden Ring, doing a little bit of New Game Plus, and I think I just don't like Elden Ring as much as any other FromSoft game.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think I'm really tired of open world games.
Sure. That's fair.
We've talked about open world fatigue a lot on this show. But it's sort of like I'm tired of the chore of discovering. Like discovering can sometimes feel like if you don't do it, you will miss out.
Yeah.
And it's really had me Thank God. I looked to make sure I had my copy of Dark Souls 3 here in New York. But it really just makes me want to play Dark Souls 3 again. And I've thought so many times just about
Yeah.
going back because it's like the linear experience is so incredible. So I haven't jumped back into Dark Souls 3 yet, but I jumped into Elden Ring to try and I'm trying to grind to Renala so I can respec my character and do a different build.
Are you replaying?
Um, yeah, I'm in New Game Plus.
Okay, cool.
So I just in this playthrough I just made a beeline straight for Renala.
Gotcha.
And I'm in Raya Lucaria right now.
Uh-huh.
Just trying to rush to
Yeah.
Renala, and then I'll probably do a boss rush run through while I just try and hit all the bosses. I'm not gonna try.
Yeah.
I mean, I have all the gear. I'm just gonna go and try and go through the bosses as quickly as possible.
So when you go in New Game Plus, do you bring your leveled character into New Game Plus? Is that kind of what it is? And then
Yep.
so
You
you're
bring all your gear, you bring all of your stuff, you bring all of your levels, and then the only thing they change is they scale the enemies.
yeah, they're harder.
They're hard. It feels like they do more damage and you do like a lot of damage. So you don't feel like
Okay.
you're back at ground zero, but you are feeling it. Like I expected to be overpowered,
Mm-hmm.
and I got my shit clapped like a few times. Like
Okay.
I got one shot by
Yeah.
one boss, and I was like, oh,
Um.
we're not where I thought I was. Okay,
So like, what level did you go into New Game Plus with?
like 148.
Okay, I think that's around where I finished the game too. Like
Mhm.
just about. Which that's probably where a lot of people finish. That's about how it scales. But
Mhm.
yeah, I do want to go back and try a different build. I want to do a whole magic build because the last time I just went full strength,
Which is very, very like Souls purist.
which was fun. It was great. I had a good time doing it. But I've seen so many fun magic builds that I would love to try to play around with. But yeah, I definitely think that the open world is a little bit of a barrier for me to go back into.
I want you to play Dark Souls 3 then. I'll buy it for you if it's on sale.
I do want Dark Souls 3. I gotta get it. Gotta get it. It'd be fun.
But I've also been playing a lot of XCOM because it just scratches a certain itch for like I love the high risk, high reward gameplay that I love in Souls games. The conversation about open world games and Souls game was derivative of like bosses feeling like reward. And for me, I was thinking, okay, if I explore a world, right? If I explore this map that creators build and the object or like the thing I find at the end of whatever dungeon is a boss, is the boss the reward? Because for my friends, they're like, yeah, the boss is the reward. I want a great boss battle. Whereas I'm like, the boss really isn't a reward for me. I can appreciate a good boss design,
But what do you get
good
after?
level design.
That's
But what do I get after? And that's what really drives me is like, I want that boss gear. I want to look cool.
Yeah.
I want a cool weapon that allows me to progress the rest of the game. And really like thinking about my own psychology as I go into games, thinking about like, okay, if I look at guides for like Elden Ring and I set my sights on an armor piece, like there is a noticeable drop off for me in terms of enjoyment if I get that armor piece. So if I play through the game to get this one specific like armor set, like it almost feels there's like nothing more for me to do in the game.
Sure.
And so I'm trying to figure out like if there's an optimal way for me to go through games like this in which there is like loot and progression and a new game plus, because I'm thinking my initial thought for like whatever game I play next, like in this line or in this genre, is I think I'm gonna do first playthrough completely blind.
Yeah.
Okay. And then second playthrough, I'll look at a guide, see if there's anything I missed. And then I'll go back and play through it and try and get those things and pick up what I missed.
Totally.
And I think that might solve my fatigue.
Do you think by looking at a guide for your first playthrough, it took away from what you got out of it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I set my sights on certain armor pieces, and once I got them, I was like, all right, I'm done.
Sure. I
Now I
think
look cool, and that's what I need to do.
I used guides in Elden Ring when I absolutely had no idea what to do. Instead of like,
Hmm.
I didn't really have sights out for an armor piece or anything. It was more like, I'm in this area. I actually don't know where to go next. And I've been, uh-oh, we've got frozen. We were big frozen, but
You're
we're back.
You're back. Yeah.
I think it was an encoding problem on OBS, but we still look Gucci.
Mm.
Um, anyways, yeah, I don't know how much it caught, but I used the guides when I was absolutely stuck in Elden Ring of not knowing where to go in location and less of, oh, I want to go here to find this. Except for, no, I guess I got the Guts Greatsword deal because someone told me where to go and I found it in Caelid, but not like, oh, here's like a piece of where it is. The guides were always to be like, how do I get from this location to this location instead of where the gear is or something like that.
Right. Whereas I took the opposite approach and I was like, I just got to find the gear.
Yeah. Because I would get frustrated about not knowing where to go. I feel like I would have an hour or two of wasted playtime, but we talked about that when Elden Ring was coming out.
Yeah. Which is also why I think you'd enjoy Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, totally. Because there's not that wondering. It's in this direction, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're like, okay, like this is the direction to go.
Yeah. And I think we were talking about too, about the feeling rewarded, not just rewarded, but like having the experience be gratifying, I guess, is to me in Elden Ring specifically, because obviously I haven't played a lot of FromSoft games, is the idea of like delayed gratification of like, I know that if I go to this boss right now, I'm going to get my ass destroyed. So I'm going to try to like level and like get stuff and learn the idea of going to a boss. And yes, the music that is for the boss and the design of the boss is always like mouth jaw dropping moment. And it's always cool every single time. Yeah. And then it humbles you extremely quickly. And you're like, okay, we got to keep doing this. But after beating the boss, to me, that is a better feeling than even the gear it can get you. Even though the gear comes really close to that feeling, after learning how the boss works, that to me that's the gratifying thing to me, I think. It's like, I know I can dodge this here. I can dodge this here, roll, parry, like hit, and then I'm backing off a little bit. And then like, it's really fun. Like that's the best part to me. But
I can't wait for you to play Dark Souls 3. Because it's just that, but better. Like Dark Souls 3 has the best bosses. Like way better than any of the Elden Ring bosses.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think I'm
like
way
Champion Gundyr is my favorite FromSoft boss.
I'm way more open to it now. I think playing, I don't know, Elden Ring was just a good onboarding for me, I think.
I think it's a great introduction to the game system, to like the franchise's systems.
Yeah.
And how it works, and it allows you like a lot of flexibility and space, especially because you have that option of like walking away from a boss and like doing other things and leveling up. You get more cushion, where like I think I've started to really enjoy in Dark Souls. I love that you're like, I'm at the right point to do this. Like I am equipped to do this. I do have enough levels. I am at the right progression I can beat this boss. This game is telling me that I can beat this boss. I just need to buckle up and ram my head against a wall until I do, and figure it out and keep thinking, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to adjust?
It's fun, dude. Games are fun.
Games are fun.
Games are really fun.
Games win. Gamers win.
Gamers win. This week I played nothing because it's been an extremely busy week for me, but I do have a recommendation. I finished a book this week called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and it is by Gabriel Zavon, and it is about 3 game developers from kid age to late 30s, and it goes from the, I want to say, 90s, no, from the late 80s to like early 2020s, and it is extremely interesting. I really recommend it. It's fiction. It's maybe inspired by some people, but it's not a biography or anything like that. It's really, really good. It's hard to explain, but it's about these people in college that make a game for fun and it ends up being extremely successful. And it's how they navigate like the rest of their lives with failures in the game industry, like terrible failures in the game industry versus, and then obviously there's a romance plot that happens in it too, and just like a lot of life stuff. But I found it's very fitting for this audience as well, of people that like games, but it's also just a fantastic story. It is a fantastic story. I can't recommend it enough. It's very good.
So fun.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll give it a read.
it was so good.
Audiobook? Is it on Audible?
I'm sure. Yeah. It's called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It won a lot of awards last year for book. I had my girlfriend recommended it to me. I had never heard of it because I'm not really in the book world, but she's like, it's all over the place and the subject matter is like something that you might like, and I could not put it down.
Oh yeah, it's on audiobook.
Yeah. Highly recommend.
Audible. Sweet. This is awesome. How long is it?
300 pages or something. I don't know.
Audiobook length is 13 hours and 52 minutes.
That sounds about right for an audiobook. Yeah. It's good, dude. I was on the plane like almost tearing up during that book. Yeah, it's very heartfelt. It's really good. I like it a lot.
Oh my god. Awesome.
But that is all I got for today, y'all. Episode 153. Yeah. Thank you for watching. James, any final words?
Thank everybody for listening. Thank you for being you, everybody. Thank yourself for being you today.
James, you sound beautiful today. This mic is doing wonders.
Thank you, Vin. It feels good to be on Crispy Audio Gang.
Crispy Audio Gang forever. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.